So yesterday, as I was reading this particular article, I came across a phrase that was written in this article that I need to address. Now, I've addressed it before, but I have to address it again and again. And so I'll just get started reading. Virginia School Board meeting explodes as members face backlash for suspension of Tanner Cross. Tanner Cross was suspended after speech criticizing schools' proposed policies surrounding gender. Virginia teacher Byron Cross saw an outpouring of support Tuesday as public commenters blasted the school system's decision to suspend him after his now viral comments about gender. The dramatic meeting at the Loudoun County Public Schools board was full of mic drop moments and testy confrontations over issues plaguing the school district. Many public commenters either backed Cross or criticized the school board over critical race theory. So we had two subject matters that were being addressed here. One was over pronouns about sex, and the other over critical race theory. Where is your regard for our freedom of speech? Asked parent Rachel Pisani, who said she was a mother of three in Loudoun County. When I saw a teacher express an opinion and suspended for expressing his religious beliefs, I could no longer stay silent. When did it become acceptable to be tolerant only when someone else expresses a view that we agree with? When did it become appropriate to silence those that hold Christian biblical views just because you don't? When did it become appropriate to allow the school board? I don't know who you think you are, but it is not appropriate, it is not allowable to silence, bully, or dismiss our views. Due to time constraint, her mic was cut off, but she kept speaking and received raucous applause, flouting Chairwoman Brenda Sheridan's request to use jazz hands, whatever that means. After that speech, Sheridan called for a recess and told the audience to find its decorum, amplifying the tension. Audience members repeatedly flouting her request, prompting multiple reminders from the chair. Another female told the board even being threatened with termination for simply speaking one's opinion creates a culture of fear and silence, and this does not help anyone on either side of the aisle. Some educators also expressed concern as they held conservative views on gender and religion. Teacher Monica Gill told the board its suspension of Cross and other actions resemble totalitarianism, not the Constitution. She added that first and foremost, and I quote, I am a Christian. What is most important? We live in truth, not lies. We look at character, not skin color. We love our Lord, as she says, and we love others. Know this, we will not yield, we will not let you have our souls or the souls of our children. Cross sparked an uproar last month when he told the school board he wouldn't affirm that a biological boy can be a girl and vice versa because it's against my religion, it's lying to a child, it's abuse to a child, it's sinning against our God, as he says. Okay, I think I'm going to stop right here because this is the subject matter I want to get into. So let's scroll up here a little bit. I'm not sure. All right. So as a Christian, she says, where is your regard for our freedom of speech? All right. Well, to the Christians, I ask, where was your regard concerning the freedom of religion and freedom of speech throughout the past 2,000 years concerning the Jews? You know, the Jews, the ones that Paul said this in Romans 11. Strong's Concordance. This is what Paul said to the Romans before they ever were called Christians, because they were called Nazrim. Now, he says this to the Romans: boast not against the branches, or do not exalt yourself over the branches. What did the Romans do? What did the Christians do? They exalted themselves over the branches. Because if you boast, you bear not the root, but the root bears you. Let's see here. Okay. If some of the branches were broken off, and you, being a wild olive, or of the wild olive is what it should say, not a wild olive tree. But since you were a branch that came from the wild olive tree, you were grafted in by and with Israel, the Jews. You have not become spiritual Israel, as your preachers say. No, you were grafted in among Israel and the Jews, and partaking jointly as brothers with them. Partaking jointly, he says it twice: partaking jointly of the root and the fatness of the olive tree. For that reason you may not boast against it. But you've done it. Not only have you done it for the past, in the Middle Ages and back then, medieval Europe, Nazi Germany, Europe, and all that. And I know you want to claim that Adolf Hitler was not a Christian, but he was. He was a confirmed Catholic, whether you like it or not. Behold the truth. But hasn't it been just a few years ago that certain states still had blue laws? I remember it wasn't that long ago. Even here in North Carolina. Now, what is not that long ago to me might be long ago to some of you. But not that long ago, construction workers in some counties in North Carolina were not even allowed to do their occupation on Sunday, because it's the Lord's Day, as they say. Let me remind everyone that even the Anabaptists in the 1500s deliberately worked on Sunday, flouting the laws of the land, and in doing so got themselves hanged and burned at the stake. And the reason why they did it was because in the commandments it says 6 days, not 5 days, but 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. So they deliberately made sure they worked on Sunday and did not work on the Sabbath, Shabbat. So the blue laws of just a few years ago in the United States originated from the laws in old medieval Europe, where they would hang people, burn them alive for working on Sunday. Okay? Now suddenly when these Christians' views are getting challenged, and others are practicing totalitarianism against these Christians, and suddenly you want to talk about truth. You want to talk about truth. Let's talk about truth. So this teacher, Monica Gill, she added that first and foremost, I am a Christian. Do you really want that label? Do you really want that after what Christians did for the last 2,000 years? You going to run with that? So she says, what is most important? We live in truth, not lies. That is the most important. That's exactly right. I agree with her. But what do Christians do when they say to live in truth and not lies? The first thing she'll do come Christmas on December the 25th, the day of that all the Roman idols were born. You can look it up. I'll show it to you. And it's also the day that Jesus Christos, the false idol of the Anglo-Saxon or the English, the Druids, was born. Let's see. Well, so since I did this search, you scroll down and what do you see? Why are so many gods born on December the 25th? For example, December 25th was an important birthday for many human idols. The Roman Empire declared December 25th a holiday to celebrate the birth of their adopted Syrian idol, Sol Invictus, in 274 AD. Some 50 years later, Roman Emperor Constantine officially adopted December 25th as the day for celebrating Christ's birth. All right. You can look in all of these articles, you'll find the truth here. That all of these idols, and Mithras, Osiris, Adonis, Dionysus, are all related to Jesus Christos. But the real Messiah could never have been born on December the 25th. Because he was conceived on the 6th month of the Hebrew calendar, which would make his birth to be born on the month of Shavuot. Nobody knows the meaning of Shavuot anymore. The Christians call it merely Count 50 or Pentecost. They don't know what the meaning of Shavuot. It is concerning the wave sheaf offering. The offering of the first fruits. Who is the first fruit of many brethren? Yehoshua the Messiah. So you would not have him born on the idols' day, the day of the false idols. He would be born on Shavuot, which incidentally is the day that the Torah was given to the children of Israel. So, lies and truth and not lies. We look at character, not skin color. Is that what Christians were looking at in the Crusades? Is that what the Christians were looking at during the Reformation period? Is that what the Christians were looking at during the Holocaust? You say you love our Lord and we love others, but do you? If you hold on to the Christian moniker, that would be impossible. As I pointed out many, many times, it would be the same thing as claiming to be a Nazi and saying that you love others. It would also be impossible to say that you are a member of the Ku Klux Klan and then turn around and claim that you love others. Now, I know both of those statements that I just made seem preposterous to you. But if you look at the background of Christianity, Nazism and the Ku Klux Klan were just two minor incidents among the Christians. There were far, far greater events. Pogroms, the Crusades were all much worse. She says, we will not let you have our souls or the souls of our children. You already gave the souls of your children to Satan by claiming that Santa Claus rides on a sleigh pulled by reindeer in the air. You say you live in truth, but you don't live in truth. You live in lies. You say that little rabbits lay colored eggs when you know it's a lie. And now you're angry because people are telling you that you've got to use pronouns, misappropriated pronouns, for different sexes. Didn't you Christians misappropriate the name Israel? And you took it away from the Jews and you put it on yourself? Today, people get mad, get angry for cultural appropriation. Isn't that what you Christians did to the Jews? You know, if you would have just followed Paul's advice and consider yourself partaking jointly of the root and the fatness of the good olive tree, but no, you wouldn't do that. See, it's like the Cain and Abel scenario. Abel had a sacrifice that Jehovah accepted, and Cain did not. So, Cain could have gone to his brother and say, you know, Elohim did not like my offering, so how about I trade some of my crop for a lamb? I'm sure that Abel would have agreed to that and then offered the offering, and he would have been accepted. In fact, it is written right there in Genesis, that if you do well, you will be accepted, but if not, sin lies at the door. Though there's many of you who know that passage. But Cain chose to hate his brother and kill his brother. The Roman Christians could have chosen not to boast against the branches, but to partake jointly, as it says here. They could have chosen to do that, but they didn't. They instead chose the way of Cain and set out to murder, take away the rights of the Jews. They can sit here and they say, "Oh, the Jews killed Jesus." Is what they say, and the Jews killed no such a person. It was both the Romans and the Jews who killed Yehoshua, and so both the Romans and the Jews are under that sin. But the Romans, they placed that sin upon the Jews and entirely absolved themselves of it. They make excuses by saying, yes, that the Jews did this, the Jews did that. But what did Paul say? He said, "For I would not, brethren, that you should be ignorant of this mystery, lest you should be wise in your own conceits, that partial blindness has happened to Israel until the time of the Gentiles comes to an end." Now, I know those of you who are not well read, you will say that's not what it says. Well, that's exactly what it says in, is it Matthew 24? Or is it Luke 21? It would be in Luke 21. Jerusalem shall be trodden down by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles, is complete. In other words, the time of the Gentiles is finite. It has an end. Until the time of the Gentiles comes to an end. Then what happens? Then, as Paul said here, till the time of the Gentiles comes to an end, and when that happens, what happens next? All Israel shall be saved, because it is written, "There shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away unholiness from Jacob." But see what you did, you Christians. You appropriated Israel for yourself and not to Israel. You misappropriated the name of Israel. And now you're getting mad, you're getting angry because you are being ordered by other tyrants to misappropriate pronouns. You started the ball rolling, Christians. Yes, you did. Paul says you started the ball rolling. I believe it was Paul. He shows exactly how it started. Where in the world, why did they, let's see. Now I've got, there we go, right, it should be this. Romans 1. Paul, a servant of not Jesus Christ, not Jesus Christos, because Jesus Christos is an idol, a false idol that was born on December the 25th. Yehoshua, the Messiah, was born on the month of Shavuot. You see, he never called himself a servant of Jesus. He called himself a servant of Yehoshua. Just because, and see, this is where you Christians misappropriate names. You don't like it when the insane in society order you to call girls boys and boys girls. Then what are you doing calling Yehoshua by a name of a false idol? You see, you started this ball rolling, you Christians, I'm telling you. And watch, he proves this. Be called an apostle, a messenger, should say, set apart to the gospel, to the good news. You don't even know what the gospel is, and I've done many videos pointing out what the real gospel is. The gospel is a regathering of all Israel from the four winds, from the one end of the sky to the other, and be a light to the Gentiles. That's the gospel, the good news. But you Christians, you don't believe that. You only believe in the light to the Gentiles. I will scroll down further because I want to go to verse 18. For the wrath of Elohim is not God, as I pointed out in many of my videos. His name was not God. It's never going to be God, and it never was God. Is revealed from the sky, from the heaven, against all impiety, unholiness, and unrighteous men. All, not some. You just can't pick and choose. You can't just say it is the misappropriating of pronouns concerning boys and girls and women and men. When you Christians have been misappropriating pronouns for nearly 2,000 years. Because why? Holding the truth in unrighteousness. Okay, so misappropriating pronouns is holding the truth in unrighteousness. Just like calling a girl a boy and a boy a girl is holding the truth in unrighteousness, so is calling our Father in heaven, whose name is Jehovah Elohim. His name is holy. It cannot be replaced. But you appropriated a name of a foreign idol to our Father in heaven. That is holding the truth in unrighteousness. And then you went further and you misappropriated the name of Yehoshua because you hated the Jew and you hated their language, and instead you appropriated the name of your false idols upon him. That is holding the truth in unrighteousness. Because that which may be known of Jehovah is manifest in them, and he showed it clearly unto them. For the invisible things of him, from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things which are made. Yes. That a male is a male and a female is a female. But also that our Father in heaven is not something to be made a graven image of. And neither is the Messiah. Even for his eternal, everlasting power and his almightiness, not Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew Jehovah, they did not glorify him as Jehovah. What did they do? They gave him another name, and then they made graven images. Neither were they thankful, but became vain in their own imaginations, because their own imagination says, well, we think he should be like this. We think he should have this name, and we think that he should have this similitude. That's how you Christians became vain in your own imaginations. And in your foolish heart was darkened. You professed yourselves to be wise, but you became fools, and you taught your children that foolishness too. Like Santa Claus on the housetop sliding down a chimney that obviously no man could slide down or climb up. Riding a sleigh in the air carried by reindeer that no reindeer can carry in the air. By claiming that little bunny rabbits lay eggs. Your foolish hearts became darkened, and professing yourselves to be wise, you became fools. And now you're upset because somebody's telling you to go further with the misappropriation of pronouns and the misappropriation of the truth, and then you claim that the first and foremost thing is to uphold the truth. Not to you it isn't. And change the glory of the uncorruptible Elohim into an image made like unto a corruptible man. Yeah, this is what you did when now you say this Jesus is God, and you made a graven image out of it against the teachings of Paul. And also to make it like a corruptible man, like corruptible birds, like corruptible four-footed beasts, and like corruptible creeping things. You de-elevated the Creator down to creature status is what you did by making a graven image and bowing down and worshiping it. And because of this, Jehovah gave you up to uncleanness through your own lust of your own hearts, to dishonor your own bodies between yourselves. So, if you're going to insult him in this way, he's going to let your ideology run its course. This is what he did. And when it ran its course, what happened? Now you have people telling you that if a boy wants to be called a girl, you must call him a girl. And if a girl wants to be called a boy, you must call her a boy. You see what happens when that is allowed to run its course? What we have here right now is the final product. Why did this happen? Why did this happen? Because they changed the truth of Jehovah into a lie. It's not Theos, it's not God. It's Jehovah Elohim. And worshipped and served the creature. Side by side with the Creator. How did you do this? Well, you said that the Messiah is equal with the Father. He has no equal. He created everything. It is for this reason Jehovah Elohim gave you all up to vile affections that we see today. This is the end result. When you misappropriate him and his name and you make somebody equal with him, there is nothing and nobody equal with him. He's going to give you up to your own devices, which ends up as vile affection. For even their women did change the natural use in them that which is against nature, and likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burning their lust toward one another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense, that reward for their error, for their wandering, for their error. Because it's not that they did not like to retain God in their, no, they didn't want to retain Jehovah Elohim in their knowledge. That's the reason. And I know there are many of you who are listening right now will reject this outright. But that doesn't change the truth. The fact that you reject the truth does not change the truth. The fact that the pre-flood generation rejected the truth that came out of the mouth of Noah did not change the truth. They did not want to retain Jehovah Elohim in their knowledge, so he gave them over to a failing to pass the test. He gave them a failing grade, just like he did with Cain. Cain got a failing grade. You failed to pass the test because you failed to comprehend, just like you do today, and prefer to do those things which are not proper. If you compromise with the truth, if you choose to compromise with the truth, one iota, you will do it again and again and again and again until you've rejected the truth altogether. And what is the final outcome of this? To be filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malevolence, whisperers, backbiters, haters of Jehovah, as I pointed out to you in this particular Wikipedia. I'll just go there. All right. We'll start here. The Shem Hach Mephorish. What it means is the explicit name. Explicit name of who? The real name of Jehovah. In its original form, the tetragrammaton. Okay? Now, right here, It isn't they thought. It was used by the four-letter tetragrammaton. This is the tetragrammaton. It's not Yahweh, it's Jehovah. And it's not JHVH. It's the pronunciation, if it without syllable or without vowels, would be YHWH. With, in English, a vowel would be in between each consonant. And the W, only 100 years ago, was pronounced as a V. Okay? Now, let me show you what you Christians did to his holy name. You hated it. You despised it. You ridiculed it. You did? I've got proof. I'll prove it to you right now. This is what you did, and this is why your societies today are corrupt, exactly as Paul said it would be. So you see this. I don't need this anymore, so what I'm going to do is go to, let's see here. Oh yes, Juden Sal. Right? I know there may be some people that are sick and tired of me going to this, but it needs to be done over and over and over again so that you Christians know why you should never call yourself a Christian. It is an image. It is a graven image. What is it an image of? Right here, it's showing the Jew suckling on the tits of a sow while the rabbi is lifting its tail looking for the Talmud. Okay? Now, the image appears in Middle Ages mostly on carvings on church or cathedral walls. Didn't Paul say, do not boast against the branches of Israel? Yes, he did. You disobeyed him, the apostle to the Gentiles. You did. Often outside where it could be seen from the street, for example at Wittenberg and Regensburg, but also in other forms. The earliest appearance seems to be on the underside of a wooden choir stall seat in Cologne Cathedral, dating about 1210. The earliest example in stone dates to 1230, and its location in a cloister of the cathedral at Brandenburg. About 1470, image appeared in woodcut form, graven image. And thereafter, it was often copied in popular prints, often with anti-Semitic commentary. Is that partaking jointly with the branches of Israel? No, it's not. Is that boasting against the branches? Yes. Is that boasting against the root? Yes, it is. And a wall painting on the bridge tower of Frankfurt am Main, constructed between 1475 and 1507. So, all of this was before the Protestant Reformation. So, it would be the Catholics. All right, now we get to the Protestants. The city of Wittenberg contains a Judensaal from 1305 on the facade of Stadtkirche, the church where Martin Luther preached. It portrays a rabbi who looks under the sow's tail and the Jews drinking from its tits. An inscription reads, Rabbini Shem Ham Foros, gibberish which presumably bastardizes the holy name. The sculpture is one of the last remaining examples in Germany of medieval Jew painting in 1988, and of course the Jews have since attempted but failed to get the Germans, and wherever else it is located, it's not just in Germany. My point is the Protestants are also guilty of profaning the holy name. while imposing their own false names upon the Creator. On the occasion of the 50th anniversary of the Kristallnacht debate sprung up about the monument, which resulted in the addition of a sculpture recognizing that during the Holocaust 6 million Jews were murdered under the sign of the cross. And that's why I ask you, are you still going to call yourself a Christian? Because if you do, you judge yourselves, you condemn yourselves guilty of all the murders of the Holocaust. Did you know that? You do. Now you can sit there in your warped minds, in your warped, how do I say here, vain imaginations and foolish hearts, you can sit there and say, no, 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 that does not apply to us. And yet, to this day, if somebody were to call themselves a Nazi and carry the Nazi flag and walk into a black neighborhood passing out treats, you would call that offensive, wouldn't you? Of course you would. So you judge yourselves, you condemn yourselves. If you carry the Christian cross, the Crusaders' cross, which the American Red Cross does, and they claim to do good works, yet they carry the symbol of hate against the Jews. Won't they also be condemned? Just like anyone who carries a Nazi flag. If you carry a Nazi flag and walk through a black neighborhood or a Jew, no. See, I was wrong. I'm going to correct myself right here, right now. If you take a Nazi flag and walk it through a Jewish neighborhood, telling the Jews that you are their friend, you would condemn that, you Christians, you would. It is no different than carrying a cross, a flag of a cross, hanging up where Jews live and telling the Jews that you are their friends. And this is what mainstream Christianity in the United States, evangelicalism, the whole 9 yards, this is what they all do. It's the same thing. And so Paul, in verse 32, who knowing the judgment of Jehovah Elohim, that they who commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them as well. So you say, you Christians, you say that truth is what matters. You better start living it. You better start finding out what the truth is and live your life according. So, truth is the Samaritan woman, I think. If it's true for the Samaritan woman, then it's true for you Christians. So he comes upon this Samaritan woman. Remember, his name is not Jesus, it is Yehoshua. It has always been Yehoshua. It will always be Yehoshua. It will never change. It's a Hebrew name. It is not a Greek name. It is not a Spanish name. It is not an English name. It is not a German name. It is exclusively Hebrew. One name. Verse 15, the woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst not, neither have to come here to draw any more. But Yehoshua said unto her, Go call your husband, and then come back. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. And Yehoshua, as it says right here, Yehoshua, learn his name and love that name. Do not stamp your feet that's full of manure and walk all over that name with your false idols. I have no husband. And Yehoshua said unto her, You have said well, I have no husband, for you have had 5 husbands, and he who is now with you is not your husband. In that you are telling the truth. In that way you're telling the truth. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and you say that in Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Yehoshua, not Jesus, said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you, or when Jerusalem would be destroyed. Okay, where it says, And you shall neither worship in this mountain nor at Jerusalem worship the Father. You worship what you do not know. So the same thing with you Christians. You worship what you know not. But the Jews know exactly what they worship. And that is the reason why the Catholics and the Protestants led by Martin Luther, ridiculed the name of Jehovah. Ridiculed what is called the Tetragrammaton. They blasphemed it. Why? Because the name is associated with the Jews. But he says we the Jews know what we worship because salvation is of the Jews, is not of a Norse idol. It is not of an English idol. It is not of a Germanic or Gaulish idol. No. It is of the Jew. But the hour is coming, but already is, that when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. I'm here to tell you today, you Christians, when you stand up there and try to defend what's left of the truth, that a girl is a girl and that a boy is a boy, that you are the ones who started that process. And now you see all of truth vanishing before your eyes. Christians, it is your fault. It is your fault that this has happened. And Paul warned you that it was going to happen in the way that you see it right now. You did it.